faculty, friends, students. I'm Lorraine Mountner. I'm going to be introducing people tonight, your MC of sorts, and I am from the School of Nursing. I'm the NCLEX Success Coordinator. And this is our last culminating event from our month-long celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, or what we like to call here at Samuel Merritt, the Latinx Legacy Month. Sounds a little more unique. Our committee's been working really hard I think we started in the beginning of the summer, thinking about what kind of events we should have and speakers and entertainment. And I'd like to just really quick talk about, just list our committee members: Ida Alvarez, Jessica Arosa, Carrie Esquivel, Geneva Guardi Renardo, Elba Rios, Edith Hernandez, Nadine Huerta, Valerie Landau, Johnny Moreno, Juana Moreno. Oh, we get those two confused all the time. Veronica Paniagua, Alejandro Rodriguez, Marie Salas, Gabby Sam, Yuri. Is she here? Oh, I can't say her last name yet. Yuri, that's what we call her. Ricardo Vargas Esquivel, and thank Ricardo for his wonderful serape that he keeps with him at all times. And Jose Vera. So we're gonna start with the food, which you're now hopefully partaking in, or please line up and get food. The food is from Cali Rican Catering. The owner chef is Rico Pavon he worked at Sofrito Puerto Rican restaurant in Fruitvale for several years until it closed. And now he has his own catering company that started less than a year ago, and he also does pop-ups at various locations. He's also, which I didn't know when we first booked him, that he is also a singer and spoken word artist who's performed jazz with John Santos, who actually I know, and also bands like Omaya and Agua Libre. So please enjoy the food, and after that we will have some music from Francisco Herrera and Trio Caminante. Thank you. Enjoy the food. I hope you're enjoying the food. No se oye. Hello. Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the food. Sorry for the delay, but we've had a problem with one of our speakers. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and have a couple songs by Francisco Herrera and his trio Caminante. We are thrilled to have him back for a second year. He is a person of many talents, theologian, cultural worker, singer, songwriter, and all the while bringing great music and different styles to promote human rights and social justice. He's traveled extensively throughout Latin America, working with community organizations as he finished 4 years at seminary school, all the while toting his guitar and whipping it out for events such as church meetings. So we're going to have him do a couple songs and hopefully get this situation straightened out, but thank you very much.
Buenas noches, everybody. Buen provecho. Por eso la quiero yo. La riego cuando ella tiene sed, con agua y con mi sudor. Le canto desde la selva, a donde habita el jaguar, hasta la sierra del águila, hasta la playa que besa el mar. América, Shaukunam, Mashatahunam Shak, Rio Hertaquina, Skitikanoa. Shahum Shkiban Siwantinimi. America, es continente y no un solo país, porque la indígena la sembró y la une con su raíz. America, the earth is my mother. That's why I love her. I quench her thirst with water and with my sweat. I sing to her from the mountains of the jaguar to the forest of the eagle to the sands that kiss the beach. America is a continent not just one country, because the Indian planted it and unites it with her root. 3 languages in this song, 2 European languages, English and Spanish, 1 American language, Maya Quiche from Guatemala. America. Shaunam Mashata Punam Shak'e Rio Herta Quina Shkiti Kanwa Shahun Shkiban Siwan Please let me introduce to you Rio Caminante here on bass, our foundation, Ayla Davila, playing bass, our percussionist, Pedro Gomez, and our guitarist, Camilo Landau. This song is called, in honor of our speakers, Atrévete a Soñar. It's about Rebecca Armendariz from Gilroy, Becca de Gilas. Now, if anybody had an excuse or a reason to not get involved in her community, it was Rebecca. She was a senior in high school. Her father was in and out of prison due to an opium addiction. Her mom was the mom and pop, and she had 3 younger siblings to raise, or to help her mom raise, and be a senior, of course, and work. So if anybody could have said, I'm too busy, it would have been Rebecca. But as they always say, if you want something to get done, ask a busy person. And of course, Proposition 209 came along to kick out people of color from the universities. And there was Rebecca at 4 in the morning in Gilroy in the canneries, getting people to sign to vote. At the stop sign on 4th and Main Street, getting folks to sign up to vote. At the school, at the church, at the community center, there was Rebecca working. So here we go. Open your eyes, baby. Un día vas a ver tu madre, tu padre florecer. Open your eyes, child. Un día vas a ver tu pueblo, tu gente libre ser. Atrévete a soñar. Atrévete a soñar. El nopal, baby, in the desert it survives. Bajo el sol y el calor, it gives the water, it gives life. And you know it is in the darkest hours of the night when you clearly see the stars. And as you sleep and rest, baby, your body grows strong and wide. Atrévete a soñar. Atrévete a... Atrévete a soñar. Atrévete a... Can you all say atrévete? Can you say atrévete? Eso. Si lo pueden decir, lo pueden cantar. If you can say, you can sing it. Let's sing it together. Atrévete. Dare. Here go. Atrévete. Atrévete. Two more times. Atrévete. Atrévete. Vamos. Atrévete a soñar. Atrévete a soñar. Gracias, we'll be back.
Thank you. That was wonderful. So, sorry about the delay. We've had a couple issues tonight, and screen's going up. Please, no audio-visual issues as well. This is Samuel Merritt. We have a substitution tonight for our speaker, and we have a substitution whose name is Senor Chocolate. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you guys see me okay? I'm not going to get up there then. Is that okay? ¿Qué huele? I was asked to come here to give you a presentation and to share with you some of my life. When I was told to come here, I thought I was going to be talking to a bunch of kids. Someone lied to me. Now that I see that you guys are here at this beautiful campus, you know, trying to study to be somebody, trying to study to make it, I was trying to figure out what I could say. You know, what could I say that might help you understand how important you are to someone like me? What could I say? Especially given that we're here to celebrate heritage, you know, our heritage, your heritage, I hope. What could I say to inspire you to continue with your struggles, you know, with your achievements, you know, to help you understand that your role, your presence here at this institution, and your ability to, you know, complete and walk across that stage is a miracle. And I say that, man. And maybe some of you might not think so. Maybe some of you are like, not me. I'm special. Special Ed. But for me, I think it's a miracle because coming up, I never had nobody like you to look up to. Coming up, I ain't never had anybody coming up to me talking about, hey, Chocolate, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to be a counselor. I'm going to go to school. Coming up for me, man, I was being told that the best thing that could happen to me is that I could get killed or I could get locked up. And it don't matter if it's right, people. It don't matter if it's wrong. If you get told something over and over again, you start to believe it. You see, I ain't got no parents. My mama, she died when I was 3 months old. And mi papá, well, he walked out my life before I was born. So you know, the original deadbeat dad, right? So I'm what you call a product of the system from day one, man. My parents, the juvenile justice system, the welfare system, and I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated how, like, the people from the welfare, they would come into my life. They would move me from group home to foster home to group home, and they would tell me stuff like, this is going to be good for you. But they never asked me what I was feeling. I hated growing up poor, never having any money, having to go down to the segundas to go buy my clothes. You guys know what I'm talking about? Goodwill, Salvation Army, Red Cross, whatever, right? I was okay with that. But you know, then some of the other kids, right? The kids que tienen dinero like to make fun of me, like to put me down, like to make me feel like I ain't nobody, like I ain't nothing because I can't sport some of the things they be sporting. I can't buy some of the things. Like they're better than me because they got money. And then going to school. Now, I'll ask you a question, okay? This, you know, I'm going to share with you. I'm going to be as open as I possibly can. So this is going to be an experience, a shared experience, man, a metamorphosis. So as much as I am going to be speaking to you, I can hope that you will speak back to me, all right? Because you're not going to get nothing out of it if you're just stuffing your face. I just kidding, hoes. It's all right. Eat. And I promise you this, that I'm not going to hold back and I'm not going to cherry it up or, you know, sugarcoat it or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to speak to you my truth because that's all I really have, right? And I say this to you because you guys are students, right? Or some of you are the professionals of the students, right? Okay, nod your head like the little perrito in the back window. Go up and like, okay. That means you know a little something, right? Come on. All right, can anybody tell me what the number one killer of the barrio is? Of the barrio. Oh, I'm sorry, the ghetto. Just in case, right? Bilingual. Gun violence, that's a good answer. Somebody else. A drug overdose, that's a good answer. Somebody else. Can't hear you, speak up. Hunger, okay, that's a good answer. Somebody else, go ahead. Suicide, that's a good answer. Somebody else. Don't worry, I'll stop when you get the right answer, okay? Because I know some of you are like, well, what are you talking about? I gave you my answer. Thought the professor was bad. Hey, check me out. Somebody else. Go ahead. The lack of education, that's a good answer. Somebody else. Drug dealers, okay? Somebody else. Poverty. Somebody else. Okay, do you guys want some help? Because you guys look like you need a lot of help, man. That was a joke, man. Huh? Mental what? Mentors? Lack of mentors? Okay. Somebody else? All right. Here it is, man. I'm going to give you the answer because I believe in cheating. Right? It's only wrong if you get caught, right? You know, there's a story there, but that's for another time. The number one killer of the barrio, or the ghettos, is stress. Stress because of the drugs, the overdosing, the suicide, the poverty, the lack of food, the lack of education, the lack of mentors. Stress, man, that's the number one killer of the barrio. Now, they placed me in a house of heroin addicts. They placed me in this house because the people who were closest to me were my aunts and uncles. And that's what they do in the system. They want to put you with somebody close, right? They put me with my uncle, who was a part of one of the largest gangs in the state of California. And one of the first things that he was going to do is he was going to teach me how to be a man. So one of the first things that he did was he came up to me, he put una botella de vodka in my hand, he said, drink this. Now, I got to be straight up. When he did that, I was like, all right. Because I was like going through that change, right? I had a little peach fuzz growing, you know. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm a man. Give me that bottle. I want to drink it. But how many of you have ever tasted vodka straight before? Raise your hand. Yeah, straight. Okay. That stuff tastes gross, man. Now, I know some of you going to be fronting, talking about, oh, yeah, remember that time was so fun. We party hard. Man, I was burning up my chest, man. I was burning up my throat. It was like, oh, man, it was horrible. I wanted to stop. But my uncle, he wouldn't let me. And I was afraid of my uncle. He just got out the penitentiary. I was afraid of what he might do. I mean, he used to like to take me and my primos. He would put us up against the wall. He would come up to us, pound us as hard as he could on our chest. And if we started crying, he would do it again. And he kept doing it over and over again until the pain, it got so bad we couldn't cry. And he was like trying to teach us about how we're supposed to be able to handle the pain. How we're supposed to be able to not cry. Because men, where I come from, they're not supposed to cry. And so when he gave me that bottle, you know I was going to drink it because I didn't want him to put me up against the wall, man. And there it starts, you know, this idea of how I'm supposed to be, having to deal with stress in my own home. So for me, to get away from that, to take a time out, for me, it was about going to school. Now, how many of you guys like going to school? Raise your hand if you like going to school. Okay, good for you. I went to school because it was safer than being home. I mean, why not go to school? All my homeboys are there. We could kick back, chill out, network. All the girls are there. Hubble, right? What could I say? That's how I roll. I can always find some food. That's why I came today, because of the food. I can always find something to eat. When you're a hungry kid living in the streets, you do what you got to do. But you want to know what happened to me as soon as I walk into the class? Teacher be coming up to me talking about, take out them glasses. Take out that trench coat. You are inappropriate. How many times have you felt as if you were the inappropriate person in the class? Raise your hand. How many of you felt like you were so different that you just could not relate? And then you were used as the example. Raise your hand. The teacher be coming up to me talking about I'm dressed inappropriate. Do you know I spend time getting ready before I walk out the door? I ain't lying. Look at, you see my creases? It's pretty good, huh? Man, I don't play. So when the teacher be coming up to me, you know, the only thing I could think, man, was that she was disrespecting me. Disrespected me because she didn't know who I was, where I was coming from. Disrespected me because I happened to be different. So I retaliated the only way I knew how. You guys can read between the lines, right? Next thing you know, I'm getting kicked out of school. Talking about I got an attitude problem. Talking about I am a disruption. Talking about I do not belong. And so there I go, walking out. Thinking, damn, all I wanted to do was go to school, right? Thinking, how am I going to get out this situation so they don't send me to another home dealing with all kinds of stress? And guess who stops me? Are there any police officers in the audience? Raise your hand so I know where you're at. No, I? All right, we're all safe, right? That's a joke, but it's not a joke at the same time, right? They get out the car, they put me up against the car, they go through my stuff, they turn me around, and they ask me, why aren't you in school, boy? Well, when I go to school, I get kicked out of school for being in the school. And then when I leave school, I get stopped for not being in the school. So where am I supposed to be? So can you imagine the confusion? Can you imagine the frustration, the anger that I carried with me all of my life? So for me to be here today to see you, because let me tell you, man, they told me that I was going to be talking for Latinx Heritage Month. I did the research trying to figure out, well, who could I talk about? And man, we got a short list. Check it out for yourself if you don't believe me. We got a short list, but we're billions. So something is either being left out or something is failing us. I don't know what it is. All I know is my goals were about getting killed or getting locked up. And I used to think that was a good thing. Now, I don't share this with you so you can feel sorry for me. Nor do I share it with you because I want to be more downer than you. Because we already know who's down in this house, right? I share it with you because that's a history that I had to carry all of my life. And I don't know where you come from. I don't know what kind of background you have. What stimulated you? What convinced you? What motivated you to come to this particular campus? Maybe it's because, you want to get paid. Huh? Make that 6 digits. Huh? Buy yourself the nice car, the Rolex. Oh, no. The iPhone watch. Right? I don't know. Maybe it's because, you want to, maybe you want to escape from your community. You don't want to be at home anymore. You're tired of everybody telling you how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act. So you fled and you came here. And now you're being told what to do and how to act. Damn, that's deep. Or maybe it's because you truly have a sincere desire to make a difference in your community. Maybe it's because you have it in your heart to not only be the example, but to open the doors for those who are following. Maybe that's the reason why you came. And if that's the reason why, I owe you an applause. You see, as I was going through that Google list trying to figure out who I could talk about, I come to realize one simple thing. It's you. You are the celebration of the heritage. You are the people who could make the difference in my life. You're my raza, my people, my Latinx, man. You're the one. So what are you going to do with that? How are you going to make that reality, something that is meaningful, not just for you, but for the people around? How are you going to make a difference in life? That's the question that you got to answer. Who are you? Who are you? Because I can tell you this, man. I used to think I knew. Walking down the streets, más chingón, thinking I was somebody. I used to think I knew who I was until one day, this vato, kind of look like you, Holmes. He came up to me and he asked me the question, what do you want to do with your life, Holmes? That's what he asked me. Now, just a little bit of knowledge, right? I was going to use a big word, but I was afraid you guys might not understand. A lot of times, when we think about how successful we could be, we think about the most successful person in our family, in our lives. And for me, the most successful person in my family was a mechanic, my Uncle Sonny. And he had everything, man. He had a nice car. He had a house, he had a family. He was, so I wanted to be that, right? So when he asked me what I want to be, the natural response was, I want to be a mechanic, I mean, why not? I was good with my hands, breaking and entering, robbing, all that good stuff. I could be a mechanic, right? And he said, why? Why do you want to be a mechanic when you could be a doctor? Why do you want to be a mechanic when you could be a lawyer, a teacher, a business person, a scientist? Why you want to be a mechanic? And you want to know what I said when he said those things to me? Nah, man, I can't do any of that stuff. I'm too stupid. Nah, man, I can't do any of that stuff. I ain't rich enough. Nah, man, I can't do any of that stuff, man. I ain't the right color. Nah, man, I can't do anything of that stuff. You see, deep down inside, there was something that was eating at me that I could not figure out until he triggered it. And this is how he did it. He said, what are you afraid of? That's what he asked me. Now, when you come from the barrio like I do, someone come up to you talking about what you're afraid of, one or two things is going to happen. Either we're going to throw down or I'm going to call the bluff, right? Homeboy's like this, right? He's all, it's like, I'm crazy, but I'm not stupid, right? And I said, I ain't afraid of nothing. What you want me to do? And he said this, what do you think about going to college? That's what he said. And you want to know my first thought? Homeboy must be smoking some good stuff, right? Because he's got to be locote on something if he thinks someone like me can go to college. Don't he know who I am? See, the reality was, he did. I just didn't know who I was. And even though I had all that history of madness, and even though I thought I was down, I was scared. I was scared. And he saw through that. And he said to me straight up, don't worry, Chocolate. I got your back. I'll be your mentor. Now, there ain't nothing like having backup one into a place like this. Huh? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Try walking into a class, you're the only one. It's a lot easier when you got two. Huh? Or three. Or if you're the whole class, even better. And I went. And you want to know what I found out when I got to that college? The people over there, they were more afraid of me than I was of them. Nah, I ain't lying. I'd be walking down the middle of campus, and they would walk all the way around me. I felt good. Put my name on the wall, Chocolate, and I went to college. But you see, reality is reality, man. And sometimes it don't matter how much you try to be an asset to the community that you're learning from. Sometimes people still gonna look at you thinking you don't belong. You don't fit in. What you doing here? Habla español or inglés? And just like that, it happened to me because the cops come up to me, asked me what I was doing. And I said, well, I'm studying, exchanging notes. Why? And they said, well, there was a phone call from a professor claiming that someone who happened to fit your description was going to shoot him if he didn't get an A in the class. And so we got a frisk you. And I was like, what? Shoot a professor? Get an A? Don't get no ideas, okay? But you see, it wasn't about me packing no gun. It was about me looking like this in an institution that was far from my barrio. And they were going to teach me a lesson. They put me down on the ground. They frisked me and humiliated me in front of 27,000 people because that's how big the school was that I went to. Can you imagine that? People walking by watching you as you're being held down while they're going through your bags, they're going through your pocket. Can you imagine that? How humiliating that is? And when they got done, they stood me up, and I asked them, well, did you find the gun? They said, no. So I said, well, you better get busy because there's a dude who looks just like me. But to shoot a professor! That felt good to me. Didn't feel so good to them. And this is what it taught me. And this is what I want to give you. There are rules in this country, and I don't like them. Not because they're not something that I should or should not follow, but because I believe some of the rules favor certain people. And that just ain't right. It ain't right. But guess what? If I'm going to change that, I got to be a player in the game. Because I would much rather be a player in the game so I can change the rules so we can all benefit than to get played by the game. That's deep stuff, man. That's Del Pitt stuff. Check it out. And that's when I realized I was going to have to change. And change is not an easy thing, especially when you get caught up into this is how it is. This is how it is. This is how it is. To move away from that takes a lot of ganas. But if that's what you need to see, I ain't afraid to show you. I'm not afraid to take off my sunglasses and to look at you with my eyes. And no, I don't wear these because I was up drinking and drugging, woke up with a cruda. I don't want you to see my bloodshot eyes. I'm clean and sober to the day, man. I got 28 years. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't need drugs to have a good time. You know what I'm saying? I have a good time with my good looks alone. Hey, I'm good looking. I don't care what you think. And I know change is not always easy. We have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to reach for things that we don't really know where to reach. But I do know this. For me, I needed to change in order to make the point that I do belong here, that I am a student, and that I can achieve whatever is in front of me. Excuse me, I'm going to take my pants off now, okay? She like, andale! Oh, Muerto, I got $2 right here, hey! Roll. You see, my name is Richard Santana. And this homeboy who was caught up into the gangs, caught up into the drugs, caught up into the barrio, this homeboy, with the help of individuals, just like some of the individuals that are in this room today, graduated with his master's degree from Harvard University. Now, I didn't say that to you so you could clap for me, make me feel all good. Even though it felt good. I said it to you because remember, if you were going to ask me back in the day, hey, you want to go to Harvard? I'd have been like, what? What's that place? I would not have ever fathomed the idea. I would not have ever believed my potential. I would not have thought that I could do something like graduate from that institution. But I did. And it was a struggle. It cost a lot of money. Money I didn't have. But you know, someone once told me that the greatest investment I could make is in myself. And the return is bountiful. So why not take the loans? Why not take the money? Because I was damn sure not going to be starving when I was there. I already knew what that felt like, and I wasn't going to do it in college. And I went, and I graduated. And I share this story with you, not because I want you to see me as a Harvard graduate, even though that is important that you see. This is playing the game. It's because I want to share something else with you. You see, I looked on the web, and I realized that I didn't need to search that far to find somebody who inspires, especially in the field of medicine, right? Because that's important, because that's where you're at, right? So I called up a homeboy to give some advice. His name is Lorenzo. He grew up in Sonora. He came to the country when his dad died. He was 8 years old. He came with his kids, his brothers and sisters and his mama. And they moved here to Oakland, California. The East Oakland over there, the Flatlands. You guys know where that's at? Yeah, there are people over there. He went to the schools here, and guess what? He never felt like he fit in. He was bored with it. Didn't feel like there was anybody who believed in his potential. So he quit. Dropped out. The hell with it. A few years later, he decided that he needed to find something. So what did he find? Danza Azteca. And with that, he started to feel like he can gain some knowledge of his heritage, his roots, his history. And so he started to learn the drumming, and he started to learn the steps, and he started to feel the energy in these prayers that he was laying down as he was dancing. And then all of a sudden, he thought, well, maybe I should take this energy and go to school. And so he did. And he got the GED. He got into Merritt College, the other one. Well, I don't know which one's bigger, okay? But the other one. He got his AA degree transferred. Next thing you know, he's graduating out of UCSF. He's graduating with his MD. He's graduating. He is today a surgeon, a transplant surgeon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so naturally, I was going to call my homeboy and say, hey, what do I tell these guys? And this is what he said, which is so simple. Know yourself. Because the higher you go, the less you're going to see of yourself. So know yourself. And when you become secure with who you are, celebrate that. Surround yourself with people who are like-minded. It doesn't matter the culture. What matters is the likeness of your minds and how you can celebrate each other. And then, finally, remember where you come from. Because it's where you come from that's going to drive you to your future. You see, I may be Richard Santana, and I may have this Harvard graduate degree, pero ¿sabes qué? Yo soy Mr. Chocolate. I come from the barrio. This is my cultura, and I take it with me everywhere I go. This is what has kept me as strong as I am today. This is why I come to you today, to celebrate that heritage. Not just mine, yours. Because without you, it went down. It had hope up there. But if you remember, it had hope up there. Remember? Keep hope, remember? Without you, there's no hope. So I need you. With everything that's going on in this country today, I need you more than ever before. So, adelante. Go for it. Overcome, overachieve. Do it. Help me. Help me save a life. On behalf of Homeboy Goes to Harvard, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I apologize. I have another engagement at 7 p.m. in San Francisco, so I'm not going to stick around. I do own a cafe here in Oakland called Café Santana. If you guys want to come and get some coffee, pues ándale.
Where is it?
It's on the corner of 39th and MacArthur in the Laurel District, over there by High Street, and you can always look me up at homeboygoestoharvard.com. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good day. Sorry, I got to go. Sorry.
Awesome. I'm going to come have coffee with you.
Okay, come by.
Sure. Okay, we're going to skip the music interlude. We have our speaker that's going next. Before I forget, we also have some great homemade crafts and artisanal items in the back by Lilia Roman. So please stop by and see her table. And I'm now going to introduce Dr. Carmen Nevarez. And she is the director for Center for Health and Leadership and Practice. She's the Vice President for External Relations and Preventive Medicine Advisor for Public Health Institute in Oakland, California. Dr. Nevarez is a public health leader with over many years. Some of us who've been in the business for many years, we just like to say many years. She currently focuses on collaborative leadership and development for solving complex problems. As the director of the Opioid Safety Network, she leads a statewide effort to advance best practices in opioid prevention and response among local opioid safety coalitions while building their capacity to function as learning and accountable organizations. Dr. Nevarez has experience across a broad variety of positions, including public health, federally qualified centers, clinic services, advocacy, and national organizations, serving as a clinician, administrator, director, consultant, and practitioner. Wow, that's a lot. You must have many, many, many hats. Her content expertise ranges from Latinx and health issues, preventative chronic disease, development, and advocacy strategies. She is an innovator in web-based communication space and is a creator and director of dialogueforhealth.org, an internet-based broadcasting station for conversation and skills building on a broad range of health topics with a national subscriber base over 24,000. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Nevarez. Here or there? Okay.
been doing it for over 40 years. And so at 40 years' time, you get to do a lot of things. And I guess maybe that's one of the lessons from all of this is, I don't know how to work this way, one of the lessons of all of this is don't be afraid to try new things. Because you might, someday somebody will introduce all of you and say, you did all these things. And you go, yeah, you know, I had some time and I cared about it. And so I did it because it was mattered. Thank you so much. So how do I get it to this? This? Oh, good, thanks. Okay. Okay, let's go back. You did that. Thank you. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm not a poet and I'm not a musician, but I am a physician who has been practicing for over 40 years, and I've been working in public health for almost as long, although if you count the time that I was working in public health before I knew what public health was, back in the days when we were doing storefront clinics and working with like the community, probably longer than like 45, 47 years. So I've been in it for a long time, and I guess what that tells you is that you don't do this stuff without a team. And that's really where I'm putting a lot of my work right now, is working with people to help them to be better teams. The other thing is that because I talk to a lot of physicians, a lot of nurses, a lot of people who are clinicians, but I also talk to a lot of people working in public health, I like that public health perspective, and I try to share it. And so that's what I wanted to bring to you today. I wanted to bring some thinking about where you as clinicians, and I'm assuming most of you are going to end up being clinicians, but you're also probably going to end up very deeply involved in your communities. And I want to help you understand that and think about how to understand it even better as you give in your career going forward. So let me just start with what we think of in public health when we talk about health. So I started out as a regular, I didn't really start out. Someplace along the line, I got an education that gave me an MD. And so I was really good at diagnosing disease. But I wasn't very good at understanding what health was. And I didn't have a definition of health until I started hanging out with the public health people. And this is the classic World Health Organization definition of disease. And I wished I could have gotten a better what are they called? Mandela for you, a better copy of that Mandela, because what Trevor Hancock is trying to say here is that culture, family, community, education, food, air, where you live, that all of these things are part of helping you become healthy or not be healthy. And I recommend you take a moment and you try to find that reference, because that's kind of the roadmap. The roadmap as a healer, if that's what you want to be, is to find a way to connect with people around those domains. So the other thing is that right now, where we are in our history of this country, a lot of really horrible things are happening if you happen to be an immigrant. And so I thought I would just share some of my thinking about that. And that's why I entitled this Fading Hope: Challenges to Immigrant Health in a Land of Opportunity. And I'm hoping by the end you'll be thinking about creating hope. But at the moment, let's just talk for a minute about who comes here, why they come here, what do they do here, what are the health consequences of being an immigrant, and what can we as people who hope to be healers do about it. So who comes here? This is a national perspective, and I have to also say something that's really important. Puerto Rico is not a country from which immigrants come. Puerto Rico is part of the United States, and the fact that the US Census would produce this map, almost implying that they're from some other country, is wrong. But let's just say that what they were trying to define here, what they ended up defining here, where do people who come from a Hispanic background come from, who come to this country? And in that context, then that's a correct map. But it was interesting to see immigrants of Hispanic origin and see Puerto Rico on that map. So I just had to underscore that. So they're from all over Latin America and in significant numbers. And we, that is people from my country of origin, which is Mexico, are a really big part of that community. We're also the closest. So in some ways, it makes a lot of sense, and a very large country. So what kind of growth have we been seeing? Substantial growth within the Latino community over the last 50 years. There are more than 60 million Latinos in 2010, comprising 16% of the total US population. But more significantly, when you think about how populations grow, a third of the US population are Latino children. A third. And so think about the preciousness of those lives and how important it is to preserve their health and their hope. By national origin, as you probably also know if you read the fake news, the proportion of Latinos that are coming into this country is going down compared to the proportion of Latinos that are staying here. And where does everybody go? Well, in 1980, mostly the Southwest and the South, and a little bit in the Atlantic Northeast. 10 years later, 2010, 2014. So the answer is everywhere in the US. Everywhere in the US, there is a significant and growing proportion of Latino people, and they are having impact on many, many levels. And I'll show you, I'll give you a couple of examples in a minute. The states with the largest growth are not the ones you think. Tennessee and Kentucky, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Carolina. Anybody goes to New Orleans, who do you see on the streets? You see a lot of people from Central, South, and Southern Mexico standing on the streets looking for work. New Orleans, in a very short period of time. Happened almost right after Katrina. Why? Because they knew how to work the trades, because they knew how to erect the buildings, because they knew how to tear down the buildings and build new ones. And they were there and they were looking for work, and they were willing to work very, very hard. So why do people come? Well, they come for a lot of reasons, but primarily right now, it's because of civil unrest. Mexico, Venezuela, Brazil, Colombia, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Argentina. These are the countries contributing most heavily to the US Latino population. You have to take a breath when you think about Ayotzinapa. 43 male teacher students disappeared. And 5 years later, they still don't know where they were taken. It looks as though they were taken and they were kidnapped by the federal police, because the police thought maybe they were going to participate in major demonstrations in Mexico City. But it's not clear that that was true. It's not clear that they were in any way representing a danger to anybody, and their families still wonder where they are. And periodically remember them by displays such as these. It's a very famous school of teachers there. And all of those young men were never going to see a classroom. What do people do when they get here? 16% of the US workforce is Latino, with a third of them in natural resources. And what does that mean? That means agriculture and construction. Anybody in this family, in this room here who have people in construction? Anybody with people in agriculture? Yeah, it's part of who we are. 25% approximately are service workers, food service, cooks, buildings, maintenance, groundkeepers, 15% sales and office, and less than 10% in management and professional fields. When I was traveling around the country a lot a couple of years ago, I was speaking to community groups all over the US, and everywhere I went, I saw Latinos in some kind of capacity somewhere, every single place. And they were my colleagues, the people who were making the food and keeping the food beautiful and tasty, the people that were serving us, the people that were taking care of the room, the people that were making sure that I could walk down the street and be safe, the people who were sitting next to me in the meetings, colleagues, people who supported me to keep me safe, to keep me fed, to keep me taken care of. Latinos are in all of these communities, part of all of these sectors, and that's what we have to think about. It's not just agriculture, which is what people think, which is what the public thinks, until they realize, the numbers are much more broad than that. So what are some of the health consequences of being an immigrant? Job risks. Well, there's low wages, there's dangerous work, there's occupational injury. Home risk. There's density, poor quality housing, unsafe communities and exposure to violence. Environmental risks. Anybody out here from Crockett? From that area right now? Anybody know what's going on? Yeah, there's a fire in the refinery. And all the people living out in that area, Pittsburgh, Antioch, all in that area, they have to stay inside and they have to tape up their windows right now. Can't go outside because they're living in a dangerous area, and right now is the test of that danger. Limited access to health care, another issue. In my mind, not really the biggest issue. I think all those other issues really add up to maybe a bigger weight on that scale of what makes you ill. But if you don't have the health care access and you don't have people who can understand what you're trying to tell them about how you feel, about how you are, about what you're putting up with, then you can't get well from all those other things. So what can you do? How can you, as you move forward in your career, really make a difference? Well, start by asking about working conditions and how those working conditions might impact the health of your patients. So it's over 100 degrees in this picture. I know I asked the photographer, David Bacon. Anybody seen David Bacon's work before? It's remarkable work. He lives in Berkeley. This guy has gone all over taking pictures of people in their workplace, and he's actually the producer of all of pretty much all of the photos that I've got here except for one. Over 100 degrees, picking onions. So does this guy have any health risks? You betcha. Or how about this child picking strawberries? Ask about housing. Where do people live and how could that be impacting their health? Del Mar, Sunset and Del Mar. I went to school close to there. That's what you saw. It's really amazing. These are the houses that people live in where that's what they see every day. And 2 miles east of that is where this woman lives in a tent and where this child is picking strawberries. Just a taste of reality. It's only about 2 miles away. So where are people living and how might that impact their health? So enjoying an evening together in their home. Well, they're together and they're a family and they're lucky that they're together. And that's a hell of a place to live. But that's where you live in Central California in this particular environment. What else about the environment? This happens to be a day where the temperatures were 107 in Los Angeles, and the swimming pools were closed. This picture almost always makes me very emotional because here's this little girl just all set to go get a little sun and her little sunglasses and her little shoes and her little sundress and everything, and she's going out there and she's going, but I can't get in the pool. I really need the pool. 40% of Latino children are dangerously overweight, and 81% of Latino children have no access to a park, just like this little girl. 38% of white children have no park access. That's bad enough. But twice as many Latino children who don't have access to a park, that's just simply immoral. Ask about their food, ask about their diet, ask about where they eat, what they eat. Do they eat? Recognize opportunity. So this is a picture that I took down in South Central LA. Just got on the corner and took a picture with a little bit of telephoto. And it made me feel like this quote from Field Marshal Ferdinand Foch. I hope I said his name right. Hard pressed on my right, my center is yielding, impossible to maneuver, situation is excellent, I attack. So here's a guy who looks at something like this and goes, here is an opportunity to do something amazing. And it certainly is an opportunity because the next block over, that's what the street looks like. No grocery stores, no markets, no bodegas, no place to buy anything that's fresh, no public transportation. And everybody has to have a car, and they're all apartments. And if you don't have a car and you've got 3 kids or 4 kids or 7 kids, you're in trouble. So a community group got together and brought in some healthcare people and some nutritionists and the public health department, and they said, let's look at what actually is here. And this is one of the taco stands that was in that neighborhood, one more block to the east. And the fellow here, you can hardly see him. He's dressed in black coming out of that doorway. He was interested because he'd just been told by his healthcare provider that he was overweight, he had high blood pressure, he had high cholesterol, and he was going to start having heart problems. So he was interested. This particular stand he made with the recipes that his mother used to cook, and he brought them up, and he had a lot of clientele, and he's thinking, I know I can do better, but I don't know how. Somebody needs to teach me how. So that's him sitting down with a nutritionist, looking at the recipes and trying to figure out what can we do that's different. Now this is your job too. When you're talking to your patients about eating better, about eating good fresh foods, about eating less salt, about eating less grasa, this is your job too. So with that inspiration, he got together with some other people and they found some community development funds, which isn't always the case. Maybe it's just the people in your neighborhood or the people in your family coming together to do the improvements. But they came up with this. He lost 40 pounds. His blood pressure went down to normal without medication. And he's having a heck of a new business and developed this low-calorie menu that you see off to the side. So we tried it out, and it's pretty good. He knows how to cook. He just needed a little bit of help on how to make the recipe conversions. And now he's feeding his community, and his place is packed. And another guy down on, I think it was Figueroa, came over and said, I want to know, how did you do this? Because I got a Mexican restaurant over here, but I want to know how you did this because we'd like to do it at my place. So health can be catching, and nothing is better than success. So when we think about, in public health, when we think about health equity, especially within a global environment, we think about unfair and avoidable differences in health status that are seen within and between countries. And so keeping that in mind, what are some of the solutions that we need? Well, these children, they need better parks. They need more playgrounds. They need to be safe. They need better access to healthy foods and opportunities and to limit fast foods. We can do that. As a neighborhood, you can do that. You can be involved in doing that. You can help to increase and improve affordable and safe housing by speaking up, because being a health authority, it actually has some value, and people actually listen. Increasing education opportunities and attainment, I can't say enough about that. I don't think I even have to, after what we just heard. Increasing the opportunity to get an education, to stay in school, to be there, and to be a part of something, a community that is learning together. That's huge. That's huge. And feeling that you belong there, and knowing that you belong there, and having people who are telling you you belong there. This is where people live. But this is Nebraska. And in that map I showed you, one of the states that has seen a lot of growth of Latinos is Nebraska, and that part of the country. And increasing civic participation had a particularly important impact because they started getting involved. They started organizing, and they started getting elected. And so they're having an impact in Nebraska. Say right on. So this is another block east of that bunch of fast food restaurants that I showed you. This is South Central LA. This happens to be a charter school that was organized by the parents of these children, largely Latino children, a couple of kids that weren't. And this picture I had to take because these kids, this was recess. There wasn't a kid sitting down. Every child was out there playing on the bars, running, jumping, laughing, screaming, having a good time, learning how to be with their body, learning how to be with others, how to play games, learning how to make games up on the spot, learning how to be a community, learning how to trust, learning how to be taken care of, and having trusting adults that they could look up to. And that picture, in a way, just sort of says it all for me, because those kids were just like, they were happy children in the middle of a place that doesn't have public transportation, that doesn't have any stores, that has that one good restaurant, that has a ton of fast food, that probably, although I didn't look up the crime stats, that probably is not a terribly safe place to be. But these children, they had that opportunity because the parents got together and they cared, and they made that environment, and they created it for the children, because those children are going to be part of that 1/3 of the nation's population that lead the way, because they're not afraid. So as a public health person, who also just happens to be a physician, what do I think our vision should be about? It should be about safe work. It should be about just wages. It should be about livable housing, equitable access to parks and recreation. I can't say enough about that, because that's where you get your sense of how to play with others outside of your immediate family. Our vision should be about building safer communities. It needs to be about understanding what healthier food opportunities are and how to help people achieve that. We need to be out there really seriously advocating, like at community meetings, about better education. We need to encourage everybody to be engaged in producing their environment, which is what civic participation is all about. And it's interesting to me because it doesn't matter where I am, and it doesn't matter whether I'm working on opioids or whether I'm working on producing a program for Dialogue for Health, that web broadcasting station that you heard about, or if we're holding some meetings about something else. All of this stuff is related to what we call the social determinants, which are those issues up there. And all of those social determinants are critical to people having an opportunity to be healthy. And as a doctor, I can't speak enough about how I need to be always engaged in thinking about how can I help this person with whatever it is they come in with, to see the opportunity for them, to have faith in that opportunity, and to move forward towards making healthier life and connecting with others in order to make that community that supports it. That's really what my job is. My job isn't just knowing something about a disease. It's way beyond knowing something about a disease. It's about asking the right questions. It's about listening to those answers. It's about making sure that I really hear the reality that people are coming in to see me with. It's about understanding that that reality is what makes or breaks your opportunities to be healthy. And it's about knowing that as a health person, I can have a role in doing that, and that that's my service. Courage is more exhilarating than fear, and in the long run, it is easier. We don't have to become heroes overnight, just one step at a time, meeting each thing that comes up, seeing that it is not as dreadful as it appeared, discovering that we have the strength to stare it down. I leave you all with this thought. I hope that you find that courage within you. I know that you will. I know that you will open your hearts and open your eyes and open your minds to what people bring to you, and that that will really make you an amazing servant in your community and somebody who really makes a difference. We have the power to stare it down, and we need to simply decide that that's what we're going to do and move that agenda forward. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you. I'm very proud to be a healthcare professional right now. I have to get my emotions under control. Today, we are so incredibly thrilled that we are going to present our inaugural award for leadership. It is the Sharon Diaz Leadership Award. And we put the word out to faculty and staff to nominate students. And at first, we had a couple trickle in, and we were a little worried because it was the first year, and I don't think people knew so much about it. And then they started to roll in. We got over 30 nominees. And we're not a big school, so 30 nominees is pretty good. But what was more just in awe that we talked about in our meetings was that the incredible work that our students are doing outside of being students, which is hard enough already. The stress of healthcare professional students is much higher than other non-healthcare students. I know I did a paper on that in my nursing education program. So seeing what our students do and are doing out there, it just was a very, very difficult choice to make. Our award this year goes to a podiatric medicine student, Jonathan Garcia. I'm going to say a few words. I tried to edit this down, but I couldn't, and so you're just going to have to sit there and listen to all the wonderfulness that he is. It was said that Jonathan is very active in the SMU Latino and LGBTQ community. As a podiatry student, he regularly participates in various SMU volunteer opportunities that provide service to improve health outcomes in underserved populations. For example, Jonathan volunteers in the Suitcase Clinic, Clinica Tepati, that's in Sacramento, I think. Is that in Sacramento? Which is not nearby. And many other community events that promote health and wellness. Jonathan is a leader, and as a first-year podiatry student, he began contacting faculty members to organize a small group research project for our school year. Jonathan is dedicated to reducing health disparities and improving access to quality care for disadvantaged communities through his volunteerism. Just like you're supposed to. In addition, Jonathan also talks about practicing podiatric medicine in underserved communities, which with some of the speakers that we had in our panel, they said one of the things that our Hispanic alumni said that they didn't know what was out there. They didn't know that there were occupational therapists and physical therapists and podiatry. They just didn't know. So I think that is so huge. Jonathan has been exceptional in helping the underserved and underrepresented communities. He serves as a mentor volunteer for the LGBTQ Center in Oakland. He did LGBTQ outreach programs at middle schools and in the community where he brings more awareness and resources at the Oakland Center. He also volunteers and travels to Sacramento on many of his Saturday mornings, where he wakes up at 5 a.m. and performs medical exams on underinsured or non-insured Spanish-speaking individuals. Again, we need to mirror the population that we're serving. So having Spanish speakers out there is such a plus. He is additionally involved in Special Olympics, where he works with those with disabilities. And here's what got me. He moved here from Texas in 2018. I'm a third-generation Californian, and I am saying that, wow, that's impressive. A lot of people will say, I'm from somewhere else, I don't feel connected. He connected himself, and I think that's huge. He's a fluent Spanish speaker. He engages in low-income patient population that is often marginalized in healthcare access, providing patient workup for the providers and educating patients on personal health. He is a volunteer for Fit Feet, as he additionally assists providers in performing free podiatric screenings for Special Olympic athletes. He currently serves as an outreach coordinator for Wound Care Club on campus, where he educates the school and community of the dangers of various lower extremity wounds and infection risks, as well as the importance of maintaining an active personal role in foot health. I'm almost done, and I had to edit. Student Dr. Garcia is heavily involved in the community and volunteers in many avenues and provides care and health education for many diverse groups. I laud him for his effort of not only helping the community, but his classmates as well. He serves as a role model for many, and he always puts others before him. Okay, I'm going to describe this because it's just so awesome. It's a plaque, and it says Sharon Clark Diaz, PhD, Health Equity Leadership Award, Samuel Merritt University, annual recipients, and yours is the first name on the list. You're number one. 2019, Jonathan Garcia, DPM. And that's not all. There's more. Oh my gosh, this one's heavy. He's like, oh wow. Oh my goodness. It's like a Oscar. Yeah. It says, making the difference, awarded to Jonathan Garcia for your dedicated years of outstanding service and commitment. Thank you for everything you have done. You truly make a difference. Health Equity Leadership, October 2019.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, want to say a few words?
Wow, this is cool.
Forgot the last most important part. He also gets $1,000.
So volunteer.
Yes, a volunteer. But what I say to my students, the honor of this is worth so much more.
Yeah. Wow, this is really cool. First, I wanted to say how honored and thankful I am to be receiving this award. Being selected for the Sharon Diaz Health Equity Leadership Award is, for me, an amalgamation of and a reflection of the kind of person that I strive to be throughout my life, in my personal and professional career, and the way I live my life. I'm really thankful as well to have my family and my friends here, because I also acknowledge that nothing I can do is possible without the constant support that they give me. My parents are here. They came from Texas, so welcome. Yeah. Yeah. So my parents are really big influence and heroes in my life, and my other hero, Selena. They all taught me that if you have a dream, don't let anyone take that away from you, and that with a positive attitude, you can be anything that you wanted to be. My parents taught me from a really young age that you have to work hard every day to reach your goals and to never give up on your dreams that you want to achieve. They also taught me that an education was the one thing in your life that nobody can take away from you. And they also taught me that when you work hard and you make it and you reach to higher levels in your life, that you never forget to reach back and support either your friends or your family and extend that arm and bring them up with you. Working in the healthcare industry for me, I have my master's in business administration, and I've worked in the healthcare field for a little over 10 years before I started medical school. And through my work, I've been able to work with a lot of different people and populations. So I've worked with, maybe the homeless. I worked with disabled individuals, dual diagnosis. I worked with people in the LGBT community, people that are uninsured, no insured, that are on the verge of homelessness. And all of these people that I've worked with in different capacities throughout my career, and even before coming to school, I've learned that there's three main things that patients that you work with as students and healthcare providers, because it's what we do, it's caring for the health of others. There's three things that patients are looking for from you. The one thing is, did you see me? They want to know that. They want to say, did you see me as a person with my own unique experience and walk of life? The second thing they want to know from you is, did you hear me? They want to know, did you really take time to listen to my story that I'm telling you today? And are you here to help me with all that you can? And the last thing that they want to know from you is, did you care? They want to know, did you truly care for me, and did you do your best to help me, or are you just here to check off a box on your list and say that you did something for your requirement? All of these things are things that I carry with me when I do any sort of volunteer or outreach or spend my time working with people in the LGBT community. And I think those are things that students should take with them all the time, and they should always ask themselves, why are they doing what they're doing, and why, and realize that everything you're doing is affecting a patient. These are things that I take with us. Sonia Sotomayor said that until we get equity in education, we cannot have an equal society. And that's one of the reasons why I just accepted a board of directors position with the Oakland LGBT Center, because I am focused on making sure that our Latinx community is uplifted and that our youth has the same access to education that I know I have been afforded because of my parents and my family and my friends. And I want to focus on health and education initiatives with them to build up our community. Again, I want to say thank you so much. This means a lot to me, more than just, the award. Again, it's such a big thing for me. So I want to say thank you again for creating the Sharon Diaz Health Equity and Leadership Award. And I'm very happy to accept this year. Thank you.
I'd like to call President Ching up here to take a picture with our awardee, please. I would love to take credit for this, but this committee has worked. I think every single one of us has put in some input into this award, and I think there's 18 of us, so it's better to just take a picture with one person. So. Where do you want to do it, Johnny? President, I'm going to have you. Oh, wow, that was incredible. It makes all those meetings worthwhile, right? You should see us in these meetings. We come up with all these great ideas, and then there's 30 million ideas, and then we have to kind of rein each other in. It's not always a pretty thing. So we've cut our music short a couple songs because we wanted to get everything in, but I want to thank you all here. I have one more person who's going to come up and do a 1-minute quick thing. Nadine, you want me to? Nadine, are you still a student? Are you? What are you?
Not technically.
Okay, so go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nadine. I used to be an Ed.M student here at Samuel Merritt. I currently put my education on pause because I got my dream job. I'm working now as a bedside RN at Alta Bates Ashby in Berkeley. I've been at that job for about a month now, and they say experienced nurses will be like, nursing school is the hardest thing you'll ever go through. But I think they neglect to tell you about the transition from a novice to an expert because it's probably repressed, because it's an extremely challenging experience. My friends definitely know me as not one to shy away from a challenge, and I'm telling you, every day is a question for work. But it is so dignifying, and it's so important, and I love that I'm the only Spanish speaker on my unit. And solamente habla poquito, okay? So, so yeah, it's pretty painful. This is not a minute, but yeah, so I'm Nadine, I'm the artist. This is my art. I picked up a paintbrush when I took my first leave of absence from school due to a mental illness, actually. Talk about stress killing people. I've had the privilege to look death in the eye. That sounds extremely morbid, but you know what? Everyone has their own journey. And mine I've allowed my expression and my creativity to manifest itself in a lot of my paintings. And Dr. Carmen, I would love to thank you for speaking with us. And I have a painting that I painted specifically for you based off of your accolades, everything that you've accomplished in the community, who you are and who you stand for. So if you would please come up here so I could give this to you. So here it is. It's a small little one-of-a-kind piece. It's Dolores Huerta and a butterfly, which is a pretty unanimous symbol for migration and just as another Mexican to you. Thank you so much. One Mexican to another.
So thank you, Nadine. This is just another incredible example of our students. They're artists, they're volunteers, they're musicians, they're hardworking people, and thank you so much for coming for this night of recognition, and enjoy the music. And I think there's still food. Yeah, he says, yeah, there's still food, so.
A great round of applause. Let me hear you here.